they're probably putting themselves in a weakened position if they do write an offer. The entire conversation with the realtor actually starts with a disclosure form, and it's called the Disclosure of Representation and Trading Services form. We call it the DORTS. That form is kind of this consumer forward form. An open house can be a pretty crazy thing. And when somebody walks in the open house, what's the first thing they do? Hi, how you doing? My name's so-and-so. Oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from so-and-so. What brings you here today? Oh, my wife and I need to buy a house because we're homeless if we don't get something in the next 2 months. And like suddenly now you're into personal information. So an open house is a fun place to meet people, but it's also with the rules in British Columbia, the licensee has to handle it in a certain way, because if I'm at the open house and I'm the listing agent, one of the rules of agency is full disclosure to my client. And so if somebody comes into my open house and says that, I'm going to be homeless if I don't buy a house in 2 months and I can afford your house, well, I now need to share that with my seller because that's 100% disclosure. Interestingly, that buyer may not know that I'm going to be disclosing that to the seller. So there's always this kind of awkward point where I would have to say, hey, wait a minute, before you tell me too much, just so you know, this is my role today at the open house. I work for the seller. Or in many situations, maybe the open house is being done by someone else at your brokerage and they don't represent the seller. And in that situation, it's probably a lot less consumer protection oriented, right? We're trying to create informed consent. So there's this funny little point where how much personal information is too much. I generally say to people, have this disclosure form right away and have it there. For example, in British Columbia, if you're my client, I give you 100% loyalty. I give you 100% full disclosure about any facts or any information about the property throughout our relationship. I have a duty to avoid any conflicts of interest, right? And a conflict of interest could be limited dual agency, right? What if my best friend wants to buy your house after I list it? That's probably a conflict of interest, right? And what does that look like? Or what I tell people, hey, you might not think my best friend's a big deal, but what if my mom wanted to buy your house, right? There's a conflict of interest for sure. And how do we handle those? And the last one for the agency relationship, which is called a client relationship, is 100% confidentiality, right? So if you look at each one of those points, those are things that are now sacred as a client relationship. And what I found in 2008 when I started, those things weren't generally sacred in the industry. We would always hear somebody talk about somebody buying and selling real estate personally that they knew, and we heard their personal story when maybe we shouldn't have, right? Do consumers know what loyalty means? Like, what does it mean to be loyal in a real estate transaction? What does full disclosure mean? So all these things have a lot of nuances to them. So the opposite of that, which consumers need to know, is that if they're standing in the open house and they start divulging a lot of their personal information, their financing, their stress, and all the things they have to kind of accomplish, they're probably putting themselves in a weakened position if they do write an offer. And so, it's kind of the real estate licensee, the realtor's job to inform the consumer so the consumer can share things based on informed consent, right? So there's a balance there.